Well, it's time to check your diaper and feed you some titty milk. What's up, guys?
Hello, everyone.
So,
Notice anything different about us?
her big old belly's gone. We had a baby.
We had a baby who is now
About a week old.
like 7 days old.
Which is crazy.
It's been crazy.
Is little.
It's little. I have no concept of what day it is anymore, what time it is anymore. My hair, I haven't washed in like, I don't even know, probably, 14 days.
Yeah, you haven't showered in 5 days.
It's an adjustment for sure.
Nah, she showered. She showered.
I do shower.
You know, this is our first baby, so for everyone that's curious, we wanted to just kind of share the experience and the story. Obviously, we're not going to talk as loud because the baby is sleeping right there. But what's today? What's today's date?
Today's the 23rd.
23rd. Today's actually the day that the baby was supposed to be induced medically.
True. So we were going to do an induction because the baby was measuring on the small side, and our OB explained everything as to why they do an induction for small babies. Then that's a whole nother thing I won't get into because I'll probably say something wrong. The night of the 14th, I went to the bathroom, peed, wiped, and noticed that there was like a really, this is gonna be gross for some of you, a really thick mucusy thing in my toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? I'm like, what is this? So I messaged my doula and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna send you a picture of what might be my mucus plug. She's like, yeah, send me a photo. So I do. And she's like, definitely looks like a mucus plug. I was like, okay, cool. So when your mucus plug comes out, there's no like, cause for let's go to the hospital. It doesn't mean that your baby's coming like today.
It literally looks like a thick glob of like mucus or like a loogie or a jizz. It was just on the tissue.
Or that thick egg white part of an egg.
Yeah, but
like,
thicker.
Yeah, that goopy piece.
Yeah.
Anyways, that happened on the night of the 14th. So in my head, I was like, all right, cool. My body's like starting to do things that it's needing to do in order to get this baby out. The morning of the 15th, sitting on the toilet, peeing, and it's quiet because everyone's still, Tim is still sleeping. And I heard this, literally like that. It was just a pop. And I'm sitting there. And I'm like, what was that? Did I like crack my back? Did I like, do something to one of my bones? And then I felt a little bit of what I thought was just urine that came out. And then I was like, wait, I heard a pop. Something trickled out of me, but I couldn't tell which hole it was coming from because I'm just sitting there.
Could have been diarrhea.
Could have been diarrhea. I'm trying to look in the toilet to see if there's like, I don't know, anything suspicious going on. No, it just looks like pee.
Well, I was awake. I was around. And
you were around.
I just heard you, babe. I'm like, what's up? You're like, something happened.
Texted my doula again, and I was like, hey, when your water breaks, does it make a sound? Because I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
She's like, it can. So I told her what happened, and she's like, okay, put on a pad, walk around the house for 45 minutes, and tell me if you feel any like liquid or fluid going onto your pad. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm walking around the house, doing my thing, and then I could feel something like coming out of me into my underwear. And I'm like, pulled out my pants to see what it is. I didn't see anything. It was clear, but it was wet. I could tell that it was wet. So walking around a little bit more, and I tried to send my doula a picture of my panty liner to be like, this is what I'm seeing. But of course, because it was just water,
That's how it couldn't really show up in the pictures.
couldn't really see anything.
Yeah.
So I'm still walking around, and I was standing by our bed, and oh my God. Right before that happened, I could feel like something was starting to come out. So I'm like, let me turn on my camera really quick so I can send my doula this evidence of what's dripping out of me. Maybe then she'll get a better idea of what it is. Okay, let me just like relax like my muscles and everything. And I relaxed everything, and then the water just went.
So I run into the room. She's like, babe, my water broke. I went inside, I'm like, what? So then I'm in there and I see this like puddle. I'm like,
Holy shit! Holy shit, guys.
yo, Chia's water just broke. Okay, so
I'm just messaging my doula. She's like, oh my god, all caps locks. Oh my god, stop. This is another level footage. Let's have a baby. So, confirmed with the doula. Yes, that's water. She's like, eat, have something to eat. She's like, because once you get there and you get an epidural, you're not gonna have any food. So have something to eat. She's like, obviously pack your bags. She's like, take a shower if you want. And if you have time, do a sideline release. 10 minutes on this side, 10 minutes on that side.
Oh yeah.
Do a sideline release, so that just resets your pelvis. I don't know how you flip the camera. Anyways, we are doing, just before we head out, a sideline release. So these are stretches recommended by our doula, and it just helps to open up my pelvis. And, you know, creates like maximum space for the baby to keep moving down. So we did all of that. Had some food, our bags were packed, and while I'm like, you know, moving around the house, you're packing up the car, we're grabbing like our birth ball, we're grabbing all of our things, we packed snacks, all the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, got the snacks loaded up. What's funny is this is actually the cooler I bought for the placenta. That I want to take the placenta home in so I can cook it up or eat it or whatever. But yeah, we'll see how that works.
By this point, it was like probably 10 a.m.
Yeah, but we're chilling.
Yeah.
Like we're good.
I'm having like little contractions that are very manageable. They feel like period cramps. Like I could just walk around and be like, I'm having a contraction.
This is the best vlog footage of all time.
Hold on. Okay, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even change like my facial expressions at all. It was just a little cramp that a lot of us women do experience when we have our period. So it was nothing really unusual. So we pulled up to the hospital. We go to the front door. They only let me in and they don't let Tim in. So that's just what it is for COVID.
Yeah, they got this whole COVID protocol. I'm not allowed up there until she gets in her actual delivery room, you know what I'm saying? And they gotta like do this whole thing where they check to see like if you're good to go or not. So I'm waiting in the car.
That's so good.
So I'm there in like my gown. My contractions are getting a little bit stronger because now I'm really having to like close my eyes. So I'm just here in my hospital gown, hooked up to some fetal monitoring. And hopefully we can get to an actual room and then Tim can come up. By myself, which is kind of like really shitty because you're like going through all of these things. The nurses are asking all of these questions. I'm starting to get more consumed with some of these contractions. So I'm just like, I don't know. Yes, I'm trying to think of like days and times and all of these things. Because they were collecting a water sample to confirm that it was actually your water breaking and not just something else. And that was a whole process. They like elevate you to like let the water pool inside. So they just like stick something in, I think, to like get a little sample, go and test it. So she did that twice. The first time she went to go test it, she's like, it didn't come back conclusive. So we're gonna have to do a speculum thing where they use a speculum like they do with PAPs. And then she went in for a second time, which was a little uncomfortable. And she's like, okay, so, you know, I got enough fluid this time, so hopefully it'll be enough to actually admit you. Because we knew that my water had broken. I had it on camera. And I was like, look, we don't need to do any of this. I have it on camera. I can show you.
But they weren't having it.
They were not having it. They're like, no, we need like microscopic or whatever sort of proof, like medical proof.
Could have been a fake video. You could have just poured some shit down your panties.
Yes, that's true. So by this time, I'm like, you know, my contractions are getting like, you know, more intense. I'm more consumed by them. I text Tim and I was like, all right, you need to bring all of our stuff in one trip.
Yeah.
Because there are no in and out privileges for your support person.
So she texted me and she was like, so when you come up, you need to grab all of our shit in one trip, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. All right, let me figure it out. So mind you, we had a lot of shit, right? We had brought
blankets.
Like
pillow.
All right, let me consolidate a little bit. I grabbed all her junk. I got like her suitcase. I got a duffel bag for me. I got like tripods and shit that I ended up just leaving in the car. I got a bunch of shit that I'm grabbing, and then so I get all the way to the front because I had to park and then walk with all my stuff to the lobby of the hospital, and I'm holding it all, and so I misunderstood her text. I thought she was saying, grab all our shit, you good to come up now. She was just saying, hey man, when you come up, you got to bring it all at once. So I get to the front and I have all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually no, she's not. Your wife isn't in the room yet. So you gotta go. And I was like, all right.
And that was my bad. I mean, my communication was just like all over the place.
It's all good.
Tim finally comes upstairs. I get admitted into my room, laying there, and the contractions are still like coming on stronger, where I'm like really consumed by them. They check to see how much I was dilated. Let me just say, because I did not know that this is how they check to see if you're dilated. And maybe there's different ways of doing it, but this was how they did me. It's like reaching up into this area of your insides that you just never knew that you really had. It's like they go so far up to check to see your cervix. It's very uncomfortable. It's very invasive. It's painful, I would say.
She was on that bed like this when they were up there. This lady had the nurse or whoever she was in here in Chia, and like come to find out she had, since Chia's cervix is like small or something.
I think it was higher
up. She had to pull it down so she could check it or something like that.
I was at the point where my hand, I think, was literally on her hand. Like I was ready to just like rip it out. It was awful. 1 centimeter. We were 1 centimeter.
And for those who don't know, we got to get to 10 before she can actually start pushing the baby out.
In my head, I was like, how are these contractions like this consuming and I'm only like 1 centimeter? I'm like, this has to be a wrong measurement. So we're texting, like, so we have a doula, and because they aren't allowed in the hospitals, we're like texting her and giving her like play-by-play of what's happening.
Shout out to Sarah from Bundle Birth.
Sarah Lavon from Bundle Birth is a dream. I could not imagine doing this without her. It was even though it's like, you know, texting someone seems like so distracting, like you gotta, you know, keep them in the loop. It was the best. So we're just flowing with our contractions. I'm trying to decide if I can keep on going just naturally by myself, or should I, you know, get the epidural early. In my head, I'm like, I'm gonna get the epidural so early because I don't want to feel pain.
I mean, that's what you were saying. From the jump, she was like, I'm getting the epidural ASAP, ASAP, give me the drugs.
That is what I said. But what made me kind of be like, is this just like too early? Like, I don't want to be like constricted to my bed from 1 centimeter all the way to like 10 centimeters. Is the nurse that was with us, she said, if your water hadn't broken, we would have sent you home because you're only 1 centimeter. And in my head, I was like, I would have had to deal with this feeling at home with no medication.
Yeah, so you were like, am I being a baby?
Am I being a baby?
Yeah.
Right? Eventually I was just like, okay, let me just like ride this out a little bit.
Yo, but she was riding it out, but like, look, I always say that, I always make fun of her for being like a crybaby, like about her pain and having a really like low threshold of pain. But when I was watching her like writhing around on the hospital bed in pain and screaming out, I was like, yo, this shit is serious right now.
It's definitely serious. I'm over it.
Epidural time.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Let's get it.
Where's my nurse? That happened for what, maybe a few hours?
Yeah, you
2-3 hours?
2-3 hours before you were like, bruh, give me the epidural. Pero like, what happened was, we told the nurse we wanted the epidural, and the thing about it was, the anesthesiologist, he just happened to be having a little emergency with the lady next door who was having an emergency C-section for her twins. So he couldn't get to her yet because he was having a whole situation in another room trying to make sure this lady was taken care of, right? Because it was just like a last minute emergency. So even though Chia wanted the epidural around 2 or 3, you didn't even really get it until like 5 or 6. And side note, you know, like you go through all these like classes on stretches and breathing techniques, and as a husband, you know, when you see your wife or your lady in pain like that, you think you're gonna know what to do or say, but then I really felt like helpless, you know what I'm saying? Because I was trying to be encouraging, like, it's okay, baby, you got this, blah, 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 blah.
I heard you.
But yeah, but I just didn't think it made a difference, you know? But you definitely feel like, oh my God, what am I even doing right now? You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it's like she's just, you know, you feel like you can't do anything. You go.
Yeah.
You
Can't. Yeah. I mean, the words were definitely helpful. At one point, you were like, you know, stroking this part of my forehead.
Yeah.
Which was somehow calming. So we just kept doing that.
I thought that might help for some reason.
Probably because my face was like this.
Your face was super tense, and I thought maybe if I just kind of like smooth out her
My 11s?
your 11s.
My 11s.
Sure, if I smooth out her 11s, then maybe
Because
it'll
when you do this,
calm her down.
when you do this,
Mhm.
you make 2 lines.
Oh, like a number 11?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought maybe if I smooth her 11s out, it might calm her down, which it did. So
Which it definitely did.
learn something new.
So my body was shaking, my hands. Like
Yes.
I could not control this.
Yeah.
My stomach even, like, you know when you're so cold and things are just like, you just shiver everywhere, and I wasn't cold.
Her whole body, it was like, if you want to talk about being concerned, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the scariest part, to see you just shaking.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, it was like that?
It was like that. It was like, it
Aw.
looked like you were just like, I don't know, like you were going into like mini seizures, you know what I'm saying?
The shakes are so bad.
Yeah, we didn't know that was gonna happen. Her whole body's been shaking. But everyone says that's like normal. Like, yeah, we texted Sarah and was like, yo, is this normal? She said, yes, it's completely normal. Your body's just going through whatever. But to see that happening for like hours, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
So in the meantime, while we wait for this anesthesiologist, the nurse was like, do you want some morphine? I'm like, I don't know. By this point, I was just like, I don't know. Sure. I'm like, get me the damn morphine. Give me something. So she leaves to go and get the morphine. And, you know, we're texting our doula. She's like, do you really want to do that? Blah, blah, blah. She's, you know, trying to give us some info. I was like, dude, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that I'm in pain and I don't want it anymore. I don't want this pain.
Yeah.
So, she comes back, the nurse comes back, and luckily, the anesthesiologist was on his way to our room, thank God.
Right then and there.
So I didn't take any morphine, and you know, they're getting me prepped to get this needle, to get this epidural, and they're setting me up on the bed, they're hunching my back, telling me like how to curve properly, you know, don't move. They're giving me like the whole breakdown. And the only thing that I kept thinking about, and of course this is like the moment I feel like where most women are like, oh my God, the epidural looks so scary, blah, blah, blah. And those were like all of like the Instagram videos that I would watch, is like epidurals going in and being like, oh my God, how do people do this? And I was hunched over and I'm thinking like, this is it. Okay, this is it. This is the moment that I've been like, you know, prepping myself for. And he goes in with like some beforehand needles to like numb the area, and those hurt. I'm not gonna lie, those hurt. And then the actual epidural where they put like the catheter and that whole thing, he's like, you're just gonna feel like an insane amount of pressure. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. So he puts the thing in, and it's like the weirdest pressure, crunching. I just felt like something was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just like intense pressure that you feel. So he does his thing, and he's taping up my back, and he has the catheter like, I don't know, wrapped around somehow, whatever. And then they instruct me and say like, here's your little button you can push 3 times in an hour to give you a boost. If you start to feel your contractions, it'll give you a little bit more of the medication. And they're like, you know, you can't overdose on this, so it's set to like a certain amount. So I'm like, cool. They give me the epidural. I was like,
Peace.
I was in zen.
Yeah.
I was super relaxed. My legs were floppy. Our doula was like, how do your legs feel? I'm like, oh, they don't exist.
Yeah, man, it's a trip, because after that point, they would be like, oh, okay, did you feel that? You just had a contraction. She's like, I had no clue.
No. I'm like, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, no idea. So I had the epidural, and then now we're waiting to just dilate.
So from that point on, we're just kind of chilling.
At one point they did, oh, and there was that whole like D-cell thing.
Oh shit, that's right.
This was shortly after I had the epidural, and our doula said that this...
That's right. So after the
Yeah,
epidural, something
yeah.
happened where the baby's heart rate actually like slowed down. It was either heart rate or the blood pressure or something slowed down. It got lower than it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So like 4 different nurses, the doctor were in the room, like a thing was going off. They gave her a shot of turbs to actually slow down her contractions, because what happened was she was having, I guess, just
Too
contractions like right after another,
Back to back to
and it
back.
was like stressing the baby out. So they had to give her that to calm down her contractions. They were like had her on her hands and knees, and I'm like, yo, what the
All I
fuck?
see is like Tim just kind of like fade
Yeah,
into the corner.
because there was so many people all of a sudden in the room. I didn't know what was going on.
But
you know what I'm saying?
the doctor that we had, which wasn't our regular OB, it was the doctor that was on call. She was so good.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, you know, this is what's happening, and they're talking in their lingo. I don't know what's going on. And you know, they just explained what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And once everything was fine, then we flipped me over on my back, and then this is when my legs really went numb. But because this was just after the epidural, I could still manage to flip over and get on all fours. But had you have asked me to do that like in 10 minutes, no, impossible. By this point, this all happened around 6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. So
Yeah,
we're waiting,
6:30 p.m.
and also like since they had given you that shot to slow down your contractions, then they're like, okay, well we got to even it out now. We're gonna give you some pitocin, which would usually speed up contractions, but this was basically to get her back to, you know, normal rate since they had slowed it down.
So our doula has this this handout with all these different positions that can help encourage the baby to come down the pelvis.
Cooch, yeah.
Yeah, to come down the cooch. So she's like, okay, I want you guys to get into position 17A. So we look on our sheet, we're like 17A. That's like me laying on my side with my leg up on a peanut ball. And we had the nurse like obviously like help turn me over because I have like cords and IVs and monitors and blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, we're in this position, we're listening to our doula, we're doing what she's telling us to do. And at however many, after 45 minutes, she's like, okay, now I want you to do this. So we're just doing different positions for probably 3 to 4 hours.
Time was flying. Not
Time
gonna
was
lie,
flying.
I did not feel like I was in there for 12 hours waiting for you to dilate.
Yeah.
Like, it went by so fast.
Tim set up lights, like our doula has this whole thing about like ambiance and vibe, which I love.
Yeah.
And so Tim was like setting up string lights with tape everywhere. We have Game of Thrones on. It was chill. I had Jello.
Yeah.
I had some water. Like, it was good. And like at this point, I had like, you know, my catheter in. They put the monitor. Remember those things that they put on the little baby on the baby's head?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's crazy is, so they went in there, and you know they clipped this little thing to our baby's head when the head was still up there, still to monitor the baby. Shit's crazy.
And then there was another thing put in that actually recorded the contractions.
Word.
Like the uterus.
Yeah, they put a couple things up there. What's funny is at one point, so while she's doing her stretches, I took a picture of it too. I'm not gonna show y'all, but while she's doing her stretches, I'm telling them, there was one position where they kind of put her on her like her side, so her ass was out of the gown, and I seen like the 2 wires coming out her cooch. It's like one of the wires monitoring the baby, the other wire that was monitoring the contractions, and I was like, that's funny.
I forgot that you had that picture.
Yeah.
So our doula at this point had a suspicion, like, I bet you she's probably 10 centimeters just because of what, you know, she was gathering from us telling her. And the nurse was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and check you. So
Yeah, she had a feeling too.
she had a feeling too. So when your water breaks, they actually can't check you too often because you're more susceptible to infection because that protective barrier is now gone. So the more things that are going into your vagina, you know, you're introduced bacteria and all of these things. So they didn't want to check me too often. And the nurse was like, once I see on your chart that it kind of looks like you're at 10 centimeters, I'll check you then. So she checks me and I look down and all I see is her, like, you know, bringing her fist out.
Sheesh.
And she's like, girl, you are 10. I was like, 10? Really? It's only been like, what, 4 hours, 6 6 hours.
Yes, it was like 6 to 11. It was like 5 hours.
For some reason, I thought that I was going to be up in there until like 7, 8, 9 a.m.
Yeah, because I mean, you hear about so many people who are just there for like 2 days, just waiting to even dilate. Shout out to Nurse Ciara as well.
Yeah, she was the greatest. So good. I mean, all of our nurses were the best, but you know, she was real good.
She was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then now it's like, oh my God, it's time. Now it is midnight-ish.
Yeah.
It's the 16th now. You are 10 centimeters dilated. Your OBGYN happens to be one of my good friends from high school, Bree, Dr. Bree, OBGYN. She's so dope. So now it's her time. You know what I'm saying? She got the call. She is ready to go. She comes walking in. We're like, Bree, what's up?
She's like, let's have a baby. So they're like, it's time to push. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm laying back in the bed, and Tim is on this side of me, and my nurse is on this side of me, and my doctor is here. And they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So when we tell you that you're having a contraction, we're gonna hold up your legs. I wrapped my own hands around my thighs to give it like an extra, push. You're gonna curl up really tight. Yep, just like that. Curl up really tight in a ball, chin to chest, and you're gonna bear down like you've never bared down in your life. I was like,
that's literally what it looked like. So I'm holding on to one knee, right?
Yeah.
And Bree's there, and Bree's like, Tim, look at this, come see. And I'm like, holy shit. Because like, yo, it's crazy because, with every push, I feel like we don't know how far or how long or what's a good push, you know what I'm saying? So I would see you straining, pushing, veins popping out of your neck and forehead, and Bree's like, oh, it's so good, Bree, and it's so good, Chia, and I'm like, what's even happening right now? But then after a few of those, she's like, look, you can look, and she would kind of open it up a little bit. I'm like, holy shit, I can see the top of my baby's head. Oh my God, look at all that hair. This is crazy.
It was nuts. So the way that we did the pushing is they would tell me that a contraction was coming, and then we would put the legs back. I would put my chin down, and I would breathe. They're like, okay, take a big inhale and go and bear down. I'm like, okay. So for the first couple pushes, I was actually exhaling. I was like, but still like, bearing down as hard as I could. And then we did that again 3 times consecutively for 1 contraction. And everybody would count for me like 1, 2, 3. So by the time we got to maybe the 3rd contraction, our doctor was like, hold your breath. Like, hold your breath, don't exhale, and like really, really bear down. I was like, okay, cool.
So we have been pushing. How you feel?
I feel tired already, actually.
You're good.
It's a lot of pressure.
You just started.
I know that. It's a lot of work, man.
I'm doing all this work holding this Lego too.
Just focus. All right. Don't even. Literally to the point where I feel like all of the veins in my head are just like,
yeah, they were.
They're gonna like pop out.
They were.
My face was so just like the hardest push ever in my life.
It was crazy.
And everyone's like, good job, yeah, push, harder. And like those words are they're very encouraging because you're like, okay, shit, I don't know how I can go any harder, but okay.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, oh, dude, I have hemorrhoids for sure.
But not a hemorrhoid in sight.
But it actually didn't get a hemorrhoid.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like really surprised.
So at one point, we're getting close. We're getting close, right?
Yeah.
And and mind you, so we got a early 2000s hip hop playlist playing. So someone was like,
there's like Bone Crusher in the background.
Like, should we put on music? And I'm like, all right, but babe, what do you want to hear? You're like, I don't know, early 2000s. I'll put on early 2000s hip hop because I didn't want to put on R&B because I didn't want the vibe to be like
mellow.
Yeah, I wanted to be like, okay,
Bone Crusher.
Let's do it. So at one point, we're in there. And this is like in between contractions. They're just like, all right, I ain't never scared.
Oh my
I
god.
never scared.
The vibe was hilarious. And our nurse is like vibing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Our doctor's singing.
It's so funny. Oh, at one point, Back That Ass Up came on. And Brie was just like, oh yeah, this is the song right here. This is the song.
Oh my god. So,
Alright.
so yeah.
So she's halfway. I was just gonna say this funny part where Chia did a good push, right? And so Dr. Bree was like, okay, hold on a second.
Stop pushing,
Was basically
stop pushing.
like, hold on a second, too much of this baby is coming out, because then she had to go, I guess she has like a preliminary pushing outfit where she's chilling, where she doesn't need to get her full stuff on yet, where you're just kind of almost there.
Yeah, she's just like, around guiding the head out. She's pushing, the perineum and everything and all that.
Yeah.
So that was like, that first pushing part was like super chill.
Yeah, so you had one push where she was like, all right, stop that. I need to go get my real shit on. So she
like
went.
puts all her stuff on. She got her gown. She's got this. She's saying like, get me the 2 cc's going off and like saying all these like medical things. I was like, damn, okay, this is happening.
Yeah.
So when she comes back, she's like in her full thing. Mm-hmm. They drop the bed, or I forget how they.
Oh yeah. Right, so then the bed does like a little Transformers, like they bring the bottom of it out, so she's more of like just her lower half of her body just more.
It's like a recliner.
Yeah. So you're kind of more like this, like you're more.
And then they bring out the actual stirrups.
Yeah.
They brought out the actual stirrups. So instead of having Tim and my nurse hold my legs, now my legs are actually in the stirrups.
Yeah.
And I'm still like holding on to the back of my thighs. So this is our new position. Doctor's all dressed up. I'm ready to go. I'm like, sweet, this is almost over. I still feel no pain. Mm-hmm. I can't feel my legs still. And, our doctor was like, you're going to start to feel some pressure. That's the only thing that the epidural can't take away, is just that little bit of pressure. I was like, all right, cool. So when I knew the head was right there, she's like, do you feel some pressure? I was like, I feel a little bit of pressure, but it wasn't what I was anticipating. Like, I definitely felt like there was something there that I just needed to like squeeze and pop out. Wasn't uncomfortable, and I don't know, I didn't really pay too much attention to it. So
when she was pushing and this thing was getting super close to coming out, I described it to Rick like this, because this was such a crazy new strange image for me.
Yeah.
If you could imagine, the big plants that pop out of the pipes in Mario, these ones, if you could imagine someone's vagina looking like that, like protruding out, holding a little hairy ball, that's what it looked like. Like, I'm talking about Little Shop of Horrors Audrey 2 plant was coming out of her.
Does it have to be human? Does it have to be mine?
And I was like, oh my god.
it was just crazy. The whole thing is crazy.
Woo!
So I was doing the same thing. I was bearing down, I was inhaling, holding my breath, and I think I only pushed like that, like for 2 contractions, and then the baby was actually out.
Yeah, so then you did that, remember, you were doing your third one, and then Brie was like, okay, just give me one more, and I knew it.
With no break
Yes,
in between.
and I knew it because I could see it just barely right there, you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
gave that last one more push, and then the fucking head comes sliming out, and you're like, and then Brie picked the baby up, put it on your chest, and I was like, ah!
And then who said first the gender?
I did. Brie held it for me. I was like, it's a girl! Oh my god, it's a girl! Oh my goodness! Wow.
Congratulations.
And you know what? It's like, everyone asks you if you cry, right? Like,
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, you're gonna cry, dude. And I honestly, I thought I was gonna cry. I'm a sensitive boy, right? But the whole thing is so alien.
Surreal.
Yeah, it's such a new experience, right? Like, it was more weird than emotional. I was like, what the? Is this
It's
real?
shocking. It's shocking to give that final push and for them to plop a baby on your chest. I was like, I didn't cry either. I was just like, oh my god.
The whole time I was looking at it, it didn't feel like it was happening to me. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
felt like I was watching like ER, and
Yeah.
I was just watching some like this weird show about a pretty lady giving birth. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
It was so surreal. And I'm just like, you know, and the baby's covered in whatever, it's covered in like blood and like mucus and who knows, discharge, whatever. And I'm just like, I have it here, I have her here, and you know, stroking her head. I was like, oh my god, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. So I'm like talking to the baby, and Tim is over here, we're talking to the baby, and that was it.
And then they hand me the scissors to cut the umbilical cord.
I'll be on that side.
Between these two there.
Okay.
Big cut.
Are you okay?
She's good.
Perfect.
Oh my goodness!
In the meantime, while we have the baby here and we're talking to the baby, then our doctor is working on getting the placenta out. And she's like, she's not even looking at me. Like the doctor is like still like, my legs are still up. She's still like, you know, focusing and doing her thing. I can feel her like pushing and doing things to my tummy. And I knew that that's a lot of women, when I watch their stories or, you know, read blogs about their birth experience, they always say that they don't even pay attention to when the placenta comes out because they're so just consumed with your baby that's on your chest.
Yeah.
And so she worked on getting the placenta out, and which didn't take too long, and came out perfectly fine. And we had our bucket of ice.
I have my cooler. I had my cooler with ice for the placenta because I actually plan on, well, we split it in half. And we had a company that made half of it into placenta pills for her, and I'm gonna cook up the other half and eat it to get those extra life,
My life.
those life powers that, you know, from your life-giving body parts, and so that'll be in another video.
And she's like, and now I'll start the repairs. I'm like, repairs? I'm like, repairs to what? She's like, you have a second-degree tear. I was like, oh my god. At this point, like, I don't even really care.
Yeah.
I still can't feel anything. My legs are numb.
Right. All I know is a 3rd degree is from the cooch tearing all the way down to the asshole. I do believe.
Okay.
You only got a 2nd degree.
Okay.
Which is not bad.
Okay.
And I walked by, and I remember Bree was stitching you up, and I remember looking over and being like, oh, she looks pretty much like how I know her to look.
Just swollen.
Like Bree did a good job.
Thanks, Bree. Yeah, I didn't feel any of that. Didn't feel the stitches, didn't feel anything. So she's down there, you know, doing her thing, stitching me up, and we're just here hanging out with the baby, and then we went to our postpartum room.
And then we chilled in the postpartum room, just kind of like getting used to our baby, and she was learning how to breastfeed.
Wow, I mean, you did it.
We did it.
It was amazing.
It was surreal.
You killed it. Hey, little baby. Oh my gosh.
Trying to work on this latch. It was early morning, like maybe 5. I don't know. It was.
Yeah, it was about 5 a.m.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And my legs are still like pretty numb. Can't feel too much.
But you only pushed for less than an hour, which apparently was like that's really good.
Yeah.
So
pushed for less than an hour, and then now we're in our new room, and I can't remember if we even slept. I don't know. But at some point, when the epidural wore off, I was feeling pain. I was feeling it. Like I couldn't even move my legs in bed. I couldn't even move like one leg over to get out of bed. You know, like your legs are here and you get out of bed, you move your legs to the side. I couldn't even like separate. The idea of separating my legs was like, no, it was horrid.
And if you want to watch more of that footage, I got a whole bunch of vlog footage over on the vlog channel. I'll be putting up a whole vlog with the experience.
Oh, it was something.
But, you know,
it was an experience.
You're healing up nicely, I think.
Yeah, I'm still just like, you know, kind of hobbling around, taking my medication, doing like my whole postpartum recovery thing.
And let me tell you, you look great. You looked great through the whole thing. You looked just a little just glowing embodiment of life and effervescence.
Oh, thank you. It was wild. Sleepy, 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 sleepy.
So this is little Veda. Hey, what's up, mama? Oh
Look
my.
at this hair.
Oh my gosh.
Look at
Hello.
all this hair.
Hello. Are you alive?
Here, let it focus.
There we go. Oh my god. Oh my god. We made this.
You sure did. You sure did. You smell so nice. Probably thinks we're so annoying. Well, too bad.
What's the... Oh, yes, she's upset. Well, it's time to check your diaper and feed you some titty milk. Some Eritrean Salvadorian titty milk. It's the best quality in all the land.
Num, num, num.
Alright, guys. Thanks for watching.
Oh my God.
The royal princess is clean. The royal princess is here, your highness. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thanks for all your kind messages and comments on Instagram and Twitter and everything. And our first baby, man.
Yep. Now we just have this little thing that
This
makes
little
my nipples raw.
yeah. This little weird fleshy little ball that does nothing but stare at you and poops on you and sleeps all day.
Yep.
It's crazy, but it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
It's really cool.
It's so weird. You look at it and you're like, oh my God, you do nothing. I love you so much. And
so
you're like
small.
in awe of how this exists, and it came from you and it came from love, and you're like, this is a real thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's crazy.
It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, good job.
Good job.
Good job. You killed it.
Thanks, babe. So
killed
did you.
it.
You did
Yes,
so
yes,
good.
yes.
Love it.
Love it. Love you. Give me a kiss. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Stay tuned for my placenta eating video.
Oh, dear.
Go to the vlog channel if you want to watch just longer footage of the whole experience. And also get your new goodie stuff at goodiebrand.com. LA is not the same thing as Hollywood, all right? LA does not equal Hollywood, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Bye. The Royal